Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Stu.
Good stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We're just doing some conversations with people who are involved in grassroots football and some of the partners that we work with. Would you mind just introducing yourself and your position, please?
So I'm Quintin Allen, and I work for North Northampton Council, one of the newly formed unitaries, and my role is around sports development. Specifically, at the minute, I oversee the sort of geographic patch of Wellingborough, but I've got a broader remit around facility development across the whole of the piece. So that's Kettering, Corby, East Northampton, Wellingborough.
Fantastic, great stuff. As far as grassroots football, how does your role sort of support and relate and get involved in grassroots football?
Okay, so as a local authority, we have a playing pitch strategy. So part of our role is to make sure that we've got an infrastructure which supports grassroots game. A few years ago, we worked with the Football Association in developing a local football facilities plan, which was about mapping facility development in order to help the development of players and accessibility to football for all sectors of the community to access the game. So we're kind of working with the two strategies to make sure that we've got an infrastructure which can move the game forward for everybody.
Great stuff, thank you. And your involvement in grassroots football, I expect probably most people would recognise you from the level one course from over the years.
Yeah, so specifically relating to grassroots football, I actually started working for the county FA in 2005-06 as a mentor, doing a mentoring role, working with grassroots coaches, specifically grassroots coaches. Then in 2009, 2010, I became a tutor and was delivering level ones and level two and youth awards. And alongside that, in about 2012-13, I was a national coach mentor as well, overseeing the sort of Northamptonshire County, developing that role as well. But yeah, so I'm involved from that perspective, but also I coach in grassroots myself as well, continue to do that, which helps inform, hopefully, what I do as a facility provider, but also it helps certainly with my tutoring side of things as well.
Oh, great stuff. So yeah, you touched on the facilities there. So you were involved in and leading the project to bring the 3G pitch to Redwell Leisure Centre in Wellingborough, obviously partly funded by the Football Foundation. What sort of difference or what impact has that pitch made on local football, would you say?
It's been massive. For a number of years leading up, we actually built the facility in 2019, but I've probably been having dialogue with clubs for 5 years prior to that, maybe a touch longer. And we weren't really able to do anything as a local authority because of the austerity cuts. So off the back of that, there were a couple of things as a result of austerity cuts. One was that what we were able to do with our natural turf pitches maybe wasn't as to the standard that it had previously been. And as a consequence, what we were looking to do was get an artificial turf option, which was available for clubs, particularly around a training venue. With that as well, what we were trying to do was ensure that no club would have to go outside of the area to access a quality training venue. So there are no other 3G facilities within what made up the borough of Wellingborough at that time. And clubs were actually, if they wanted to train, many decided not to. Some were training on natural turf pitches, which put a bigger impact in terms of maintenance on club sites, which becomes very costly, which was a difficult thing to do. So we were really keen that clubs shouldn't go outside of the area and would have a real good quality facility to work from, which was also accessible and affordable. It's got to be sustainable and viable from an operator's perspective, but it should be affordable for clubs as well. And we also identified that some clubs were being priced out of that.
So it's a pretty big difference to local football then. So yeah, that's fantastic to hear. It's really good. Do you think are we in a position where we probably need some more 3G pitches across sort of around Wellingborough and the wider Northants area that you look after?
Definitely. I get a great pleasure from seeing how many people are benefiting from the site that we've got. It's fantastic. I mean, when we were first opening, we had a rural schools football festival, and these kids came down and thought, oh, wow, really kind of loved the venue. And right up into the teenage guys that we've got on football education programs, they really like the facility, but we're at age and stage where they're not kind of always effervescent about things. So that's great as well. But the difficult part of my job is when clubs are approaching you, and I've got clubs now that are approaching me for next season, and I'm already saying to them, actually, do you know what? I've got no weekday space between sort of September through to April. So to be able to kind of give those clubs a little bit of hope is something that I'm keen actually comes to fruition. And I know that we've got a few ideas, and these things take a while to establish, because there's an evidence base, a solid evidence base that's required. There's a business plan alongside a football development plan. But yeah, definitely. But there certainly is still a real high demand that I can identify, where I could immediately point to a few clubs and say, yeah, these need a little bit of assistance, and they're struggling to access facilities at the moment.
Yeah, and I echo that completely. Kind of that's why the Football Foundation, I think, are really keen to invest in this area. Kind of we as a county are pushing as much as we can as well. So we've fortunately we've got a few kind of irons in the fire, but like you say, it takes sometimes 18 months, 2 years, sometimes longer to get these things moving. So as I'm sure you know too well. So yeah, keen to keep pushing that on, but we'll we'll work closely together to get them over the line, definitely. From probably it may seem obvious to some people, but why do you think it's important for players to have access to good quality facilities, whether that be grass or 3G?
For a number of reasons. So for a 3G site, it's really useful that you're able to take some of the pressures off a club facility. So there isn't the ongoing cost which is associated with having maybe a training area, which used to happen back in the day. There would be a training area, and it would get so much hammer that by February it either couldn't be used, or it was prioritised for seniors or older age groups. And what would happen is that the kids who are kind of at that foundation stage were missing out. And what we're able to do now is produce some real technical players. After the youth review, we changed the format, the structure, the way that the game was played. So we've got 5v5, we've got 7v7, we've got 9v9, we've got 11v11, and we've got different sizes 11v11 as we go into the senior side of things. Now, what you also need is a surface for kids to develop themselves. So it's not just about dimensions, but it's actually about having an appropriate surface to play on. And that will help develop confidence and technique and take the kids into maybe a different place. And we're getting multi-dimensional players. That's the way the game's going. We're getting multi-dimensional players, and it's useful to have a surface which will support that development. And the kids just like it as well. It's cleaner. It's better for coaches to work off lines which are already established. We've got roll on, roll off goals, so that we can change those dimensions and work on different things. and I'm all about making the coaches' lives as easy as possible, because I'm conscious that the volunteers giving up a lot of time attending courses, attending CPD events. They want to make a difference to the kids, and if we can help that in any way through the provision of facilities, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you all the way on that one, absolutely. And just finally, just before we finish, so what would you recommend to a club if they want to improve their facilities and grass pitches? What would you advise they do?
I'd advise them to be realistic. So everybody wants a really good facility to work from, which is great. But what they need to think about is how they go about that and what their actual need is, because there's only a finite amount of money which is available. So have those conversations within the club, make sure that everybody has got clarity around the vision of how you take a project forward. Then, if you've got that relationship, even if you haven't got that relationship, you can approach your local authority, or if they've got a real good relationship with the county FA, which I know that you're doing lots and lots of work and establishing those links with the grassroots clubs, speak to you, and then we can all speak together to find out the best way forward, because we're mapping different sites across. I can only speak from my side of the county, but across the Northants area, and we're looking to see where geographically there's a need, and how we can work with clubs in order to serve them, so that they don't have to travel too far before they can access this type of venue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think we're very open to hearing from every club, whether they're one team or 40 teams. Kind of, we're keen to hear from them and see how we can help. So, yeah, please get in touch if you're out there and you're watching this and you want some support around your facilities. Then, yeah, please give us a shout.
Yeah,
Quintin,
I think
thank you very much. Really good to hear from you. And yeah, we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Stu. Cheers.